All right, everybody. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. I am Savannah Louie with Atlanta News First. It is 8 o'clock on the dot here on this Monday evening on Memorial Day, May 29th. As always, I am so glad that you could join us today, and I'm looking forward to bringing you our top 5 stories for this evening. Now, we have a lot to get to, so I'm just going to hop straight into it, starting with a story impacting a lot of families here in the metro Atlanta area. I always hate talking about violence impacting our children, but this is so important that we address some of the issues that are going on right now. This was a very violent weekend for young people here in the metro Atlanta area. At least 10 teenage lives were either taken or forever impacted by gun violence since last Thursday, so just over a few days here. Now, the most recent incident happening Sunday morning around 2:30 a.m. near Benjamin E. Mays High School, that's over in Southwest Atlanta, involving this young gal. Her name here is Breasia Powell. She's just 16 years old. Now, she was a junior at the school, and she was shot and killed following an unauthorized graduation party near the school again. There she is, 16-year-old Breasia Powell. Now tonight, loved ones are still in shock and they're searching for answers after that deadly shooting outside the high school. She was one of two 16-year-olds shot outside this high school early Sunday morning. Investigators say that the shooting stemmed from a graduation party at a separate location hours earlier. Police haven't named a suspect or a motive just yet, but they believe that Breasia was just an innocent bystander. She died at the hospital. The other victim remains in stable condition. Right now, a $10,000 reward is offered to help find the person responsible for killing Breasia. If you have any information on this, you are asked to come forward immediately. You can remain anonymous. The teenager's family and friends are also planning to hold a vigil and a balloon release in the coming days. We are still waiting to get those details as we learn when and where that celebration of life is going to take place. We will, of course, keep you updated, but just a very upsetting story that we needed to tell you about tonight. And again, this was just one of a handful of incidents involving young people here in the metro Atlanta area over just the past 3 to 4 days. Always hate reporting on that. All right, well, I do want to move straight ahead to another story here. We are tracking a number of Memorial Day celebrations all across our metro Atlanta area, and there is one in particular I wanted to share with you, this one out of Roswell. If you are familiar, this is a ceremony that we have seen year over year. It is one of the biggest in our area when it comes to remembering the men and women who literally sacrificed everything for us and for our freedom here. Our reporter, Rebecca Schramm, was at that ceremony earlier today, and I'm going to let her take it from here.
This is the largest ceremony of its kind in the Southeast. It's become quite the tradition to host this here on the grounds of Roswell City Hall, which has the space for the couple thousands of people in attendance. For the 24th year, the city of Roswell and the Roswell Rotary Club have brought the community together on Memorial Day for a day of remembrance. It's a perfect setting because the City Hall property features the Faces of War Memorial, which has drawn visitors for nearly 3 decades. Among other tributes, the ceremony featured a presentation of colors, a tribute to prisoners of war and those missing in action, and a laying of the wreath. Organizers like to remind the public the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
This is a day of remembrance for those who did not come home from war, keeping you and I safe and our family and friends safe so that we can have remembrances like this. We want to make sure that the people understand that there are days you can have for veterans in the fall, but this is a day to remember those that are fallen.
He reminds us, for those who've lost a loved one who died fighting for this country, every day is Memorial Day. In Roswell, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Every day is Memorial Day. I love that. That is really impactful words there. All right, I want to move ahead to a semi-related story here. We know that the men and the women who go and fight for our freedom and who do come back to the U.S. oftentimes face another battle when it comes to their mental health. We hear so many stories about some of the struggles that they face, and now a local nonprofit is working to provide services for the men and women who are facing some of those really, really difficult issues here. I want to introduce you to this local nonprofit raising awareness about the need for mental health resources for veterans. Shepherd's Men is that nonprofit. They raise money all year long to support the Share Military Initiative. It's a rehabilitation program for veterans that helps address their physical and mental needs. The treatment center happens at the Shepherd Center. Now, we spoke with Walt Marquise. He was deployed overseas in Iraq, Korea, and Afghanistan, and he says he's had friends, veterans, and some of them have even taken their own life. He says he's committed to helping connect other veterans to resources that they might need. I want to go ahead and let you listen to what he had to say.
I served 20 years in the Marine Corps, and for a long time I just put my, those injuries to the side until I retired from the military, and then they surfaced. But I have a network of veterans that are there for me, and that's what we try to provide. It's just a network of veterans that, are looking to help other veterans, especially that are going through some mental health issues.
Such an important effort there. Now, last month, Governor Brian Kemp signed a bill into law creating a $750,000 grant program to support mental health programs for military service members, veterans, and their families. The state will offer grants to nonprofit groups to provide mental health and addiction services. So there are a lot of good things going into play here when it comes to getting veterans the help that they need when it comes to their physical and mental health. Of course, there's always more that we can do to help those veterans. And if you feel compelled to make a donation or to participate in helping that nonprofit there, you can find all of that information under this story at atlantanewsfirst.com. We'll have that up for you on our website here later this evening. All right, another story I want to get to tonight is one that we've been following closely as it's been developing now for over a year. And we are talking about the Atlanta Public Safety Training Facility slated to open up. Now, this has been a huge source of controversy for people, not only who live here in the metro Atlanta area, but all throughout the country. You have probably heard or maybe even seen, if you keep up with our newscasts and our show and our website, some of the protests that have gone on at this facility. Now, what you're looking at here are authorities walking us through the site, the proposed site here, and developing right now the final push to make Atlanta's public training center a reality. 1 week from today, Atlanta City Council will vote on a multi-million-dollar funding plan. Now, when all is said and done, this could cost more than double what the city initially outlined. Based on the latest resolution and from conversations that Atlanta News First has had with council members and city finance officials, taxpayers will pay $67 million. Now, the city will pay up to $30 million. That's coming from the general fund to the Atlanta Police Foundation for ongoing development. This is the number that Mayor Andre Dickens has continued to preach. Then the city would also pay $1 million for a gymnasium that's coming out of public safety impact fees. Now, here's the part that's pretty frustrating for a lot of people out there. This lease back agreement. City officials say to lease the land from the Police Foundation, the city will pay an additional $1.2 million for the next 30 years. That's going to add up for a total of $36 million. So $36 million plus $31 million, that's $67 million. That's where we're getting that final number from. Now, during the Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday, activists were simply outraged over the public's changing financial commitment. Again, the funding deadline is approaching. It is just 1 week away. as we continue to follow this story and hear some of the frustrations and debate over where the money is going and how it's going to be spent, we'll of course continue to keep you updated. But again, this public safety training facility slated to open up is causing a lot of controversy in a lot of different areas. It seems like money and funding is just the latest issue that cannot be agreed upon. All right, final story for this evening. I know many of you enjoying a holiday weekend, maybe outdoors. I know I wish I was grilling outside today, and that's kind of where our final story is taking us. If any of you maybe are gathering with friends, or you could be gathering by yourself and cooking out. You don't need friends to cook out. You can cook out on your own. Either way, you might notice it's going to cost you a little bit more than what you're used to. A new survey from Numerator found 75% of Americans are adjusting their Memorial Day spending, especially when it comes to food. Most people are looking for deals, choosing budget-friendly foods. They're also slowing travel and buying less altogether. The latest Consumer Price Index found food prices are up 7.7% since April 2022. Honestly, if you ask me, it seems like a little bit more than that. I feel like every time I go to the grocery store, it is just hiking on up. Now, prices for a classic barbecue, including staples like ketchup and mustard, well, those have had more significant increases. That's why, if you're like me, you just stick to the ketchup. You don't need all the fancy stuff. Keep the mustard for someone else. You're spending less money there. All right, a 32-ounce bottle of ketchup, though, increased by 27.9%. That's followed by a 20-ounce bottle of mustard, which went up 13%. Hamburger and hot dog buns also up about 7.4%. I know those numbers don't sound huge, but when you add it all up, it's going to add up, right? Now, Atlanta News First spoke to one local business owner in Cabbagetown who's working to bring the community together. We spoke to the owner of Little's Food Store, and he hosted a Memorial Day potluck barbecue event. You could either bring something to share, donate what you could. It wasn't required, but for some people, the meal was truly a cost saver. I don't know what you guys did for Memorial Day, but hopefully you got some good food. If you weren't able to grill out, maybe you were able to go grab a burger from a local fast food joint or something like that. I know everybody likes their burgers on Memorial Day weekend. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Atlanta News First Alert Desk. With that, I'm going to send you straight outside. We're taking a live look here at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport on a very busy travel day. I think I see a Delta plane in the background getting ready to take on off. And, one second here. Hey, Miles, do you know if we have weather tonight? No? All right, guys, we're not doing weather tonight. You're going to have to tune in to Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock with me, or WANF at 11 o'clock. There's that plane taking off. For the forecast, we'll have, I believe, Fred Campagna is going to be doing all three shows. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost positive he is going to be your man with the plan for tonight. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you later this evening on TV.